Welcome back to another episode of the Homebody podcast, the podcast where we explore the deeper layers of mental health, nervous system healing, and coming home to ourselves. I'm Anna, and today we are unpacking a powerful and often uncomfortable truth. For many of us, rest just does not feel safe. Have you ever tried to take a break, maybe lie on the couch after work to slow down, to do nothing, to relax? You head out on holidays and you finally are sitting in front of the pool, and then all of a sudden you're expecting to feel calm, but you feel more anxious, more restless, even panicked. So if that's you, you are not alone and you are not broken. In this episode, we're going to explore why rest can actually feel threatening to a dysregulated nervous system, and we'll talk about the link between constantly doing and survival mode. And I'll share tools to help you build safety in stillness, slowly and gently without guilt. So let's start here. Rest should feel restorative, right? But for many of us, slowing down doesn't feel relaxing. It feels pretty activating. And that's because when we enter states of stillness or quiet, our nervous system no longer has that distraction, often as a buffer. And that can bring up sensations or emotions that have been stored or suppressed for many, many years. So if your nervous system is stuck in sympathetic dominance, that's fight or flight state, it interprets rest as vulnerability. Stillness becomes a threat because the body has learned that safety equals doing, moving, and achieving. And this is especially common if you grew up in environments where survival meant staying busy, being productive, or anticipating danger. Over time, the body wires doing as safety. So constantly moving, constantly being on. So when we stop, our system goes, uh-oh, something is really, really wrong. So in our current society, overworking is often celebrated, but beneath that productivity can be a really strong pattern of hypervigilance, the constant scanning for danger, being on the lookout for rejection, trying to mitigate any consequences or potential failures. Many of us learn to cope with dysregulation by staying busy because it's easier to fill every gap in the day, never stopping moving, so that we don't actually have to feel what is going on underneath the surface. And if we're not being useful, that can kick up feelings of anxiety as well. And this is often less about ambition and more about safety. So work becomes a socially acceptable coping mechanism. It gives us structure and rigidity and control, or a sense of control and distraction, all of which can feel safer than being still with our own thoughts or sensations. But what happens is over time, this chronic doing can lead to burnout, deeper anxiety, chronic anxiety, and a deeper sense of disconnection from our body's true needs. So how do we actually start to peel back this layer and shift this kind of survival mechanism of staying in this doing response, right? So if you go from overworking to trying to meditate, do mindful meditations, for example, in silence for 30 minutes, your nervous system is going to freak out, and understandably so. Instead, what we want to do is to build capacity for stillness in small and manageable doses. So here's how we can start to do that. We want to start with things like micro pauses. So starting with 30 seconds of intentional stillness. So in this moment, for 30 seconds, you can place your hand on your chest. You could close your eyes if that's safe for you, and just breathe. We can also use movement as a kind of vehicle into stillness and to rest. So we can use stretching, dynamic or active stretching, or a short walk before we start to move into that state of stillness. This helps transition your system from mobilization to settling. Another thing that we can start to look at is how we compare the feeling of being still or resting with safety cues. So what are the things that make you feel most at home, or feel most held or most grounded? So things like wrapping yourself in a blanket like a burrito, holding something warm, or playing certain types of music that feel like home for you. These create different sensory experiences and signals of safety. Another thing that we can start to do is name what comes up. So if rest brings up discomfort for you, try saying something like, it makes sense that stillness feels hard. I'm learning how to feel safe here. This is nervous system training. And like all training, it does take a lot of time and repetition because, again, consistency equals familiarity, and whatever is most familiar is going to feel most safe for us. So now let's talk about that other sneaky layer of what occurs when maybe we try to rest, but all of these feelings are coming up, in particular, something like guilt. Even when we carve out rest, many of us struggle to enjoy it because we're haunted by thoughts like, I should be doing more. This is so lazy. I don't deserve to rest yet. I've still got so much to do. And this guilt is often learned. It's internalized from a culture that values output over presence. But here's the truth. Rest is really not a reward. It's a biological necessity. It's how our body will go back and repair and make sure that we don't slip into dis-ease. So we can start to try to help to soften that guilt feeling. We can reframe rest as regulation. So you're not being lazy, you're rebuilding capacity. Again, we can use scheduled pauses. So those micro pauses, we can block short rest windows into your day. It's that starting small, and we want to start to build them out. So we start with 30 seconds and we're building up over time. And lastly, I want to invite you to notice how even small moments of rest help you feel more grounded or less reactive as you move through the rest of your day. So this isn't really about doing nothing. It's about allowing your body to do what it was designed to do, and that is recover. So if rest feels really uncomfortable, foreign, or even scary for you, it doesn't mean that you're incapable of slowing down and relaxing. It just means that your nervous system needs a little bit of help remembering that stillness can actually be safe, that you can maintain a sense of safety even with all of the survival mechanisms that we bring forth. So I want you to start really small. Be kind to the part of you that learned to survive by doing, and know that every pause, every exhale is a step forward towards reconnection. So if this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear about your experience, and feel free to share it with someone who needs permission to rest, and come say hi on Instagram at Anna the Anxiety Coach. Until next time, go gently. Rest isn't just okay, it's sacred.